Hello and welcome to the third and final short video that I'm recording and sharing as part of my lockdown campaign, Right Through This. I want to start off this video by saying how much I've enjoyed running this campaign. So far we've done 3-hour-long workshops, which so many of you showed up to, so thank you so much for turning up and meaning that I didn't have to sit on my own staring at my screen. And we've also done 3 of these short 10-minute videos to give you some little ideas and a burst of creativity if you need it. And some of you have been sending your work in, so I've had the absolute privilege of reading some of the incredible work that you've submitted. And I just want to use this introduction to encourage more of you to send your work in, because now that the campaign is drawing to a close, and there are hopefully some blue skies ahead of us, we'll be spending the next couple of weeks shouting out your poems, celebrating your poems online, and just generally celebrating all that you've achieved during this campaign, because there's been a lot of you and hopefully there's been a lot of writing. So just to remind you, you can send your poems in to Spread the Word via email, and that's hello@spreadtheword.org.uk. You can tweet your poems. Make sure you tag STW events and also use the hashtag Right Through This. You can Instagram your poem and tag Spread the Word Writers, and use the hashtag Right Through This, and that means we'll be able to see your poems and your writing, and that means we'll be able to celebrate them online. So I hope that these little videos and the Wednesday night longer workshops that I've been running have hopefully given you some time to yourselves, whoever you are, whatever your experience with writing. Hopefully it's given you some time to just have fun and to play with ideas, with words, to reflect, to uncover whatever it is that you need to say right now, and hopefully help you say it. I really hope that you'll continue to use these ideas that we've explored during the campaign and these free writes, these exercises, to help you if you ever need to do a bit of writing, if you ever feel a bit stuck and you need to feel that magic feeling that happens when you let something go and you create something. I hope you use what you've learned during the campaign to do that. And I hope that you see writing as a space for you, a zone that you can go to whenever you need to. And a place that you can say whatever you want to say in your own voice, on your own terms, and just have fun with writing in that way. So I want to use this week's video to talk about a poem that I read recently and that I loved. And I read it and I thought, that's amazing, for one, and for two, that would be a really cool prompt to use for my Right Through This video, for my final Right Through This video. So I want to share this poem, and it's by a poet called Chen Chen. So what I'm going to do is pull it up on the screen and read it, and hopefully this will work. Okay. This poem is called Summer. I'm optimistically looking towards summer, and I'm sure you all are too. Let me read it through and then I'll talk you through the little prompts that I thought would be cool to use after we've jumped off of this poem. Summer. You are the ice cream sandwich connoisseur of your generation. Blessed are your floral shorteralls, your deeply pink fanny pack with travel size lint roller just in case. Level of splendiferous in your outfit, 200. Types of invisible pain stemming from adolescent disasters in classrooms, locker rooms, and quite often Toyota Camaras, at least 10,000. You are not a Jigglypuff, not yet a Wigglytuff. Reporters and fathers call your generation the worst, which really means queer kids who could go online and learn that queer doesn't have to mean disaster or dead. Instead, queer means splendiferously you. And you means someone who knows that common flavours for ice cream sandwiches in Singapore include red bean, yam, and honeydew. Your powers are great, are growing, One day, you will create an online personality quiz that also freshens the breath. The next day, you will tell your father, you were wrong to say that I had to change, to make me promise I would, to make me promise and promise. Okay, so that was Summer by Chen Chen. And what I love about this poem and why I wanted to share it with you this week is the playfulness. I love the playfulness. I love that it doesn't take itself too seriously, yet there are moments of real hurt and real guts in this poem too. So there's playfulness in the sense that Chen Chen uses words like splendiferous, and talks about ice cream sandwiches and a bright pink fanny pack and floral shorteralls, which I'm guessing are like short overalls. They sound cool, basically. So on one hand, there's all that kind of playfulness, and on the other hand, they talk about the pain that the you in this poem has experienced due to, for example, past adolescent disasters. I love the reference to Pokemon, which kind of draws us in and makes us feel like this is really current, but also kind of gives us permission to use this kind of thing in our poems. You know, I think don't ever believe anyone who says all poetry has to be incredibly kind of serious and grand. It's high art. No, poetry is silly and fun when it wants to be. You can use Pokemon as a thing in your poem. That's totally fine. I feel like Chen Chen's poems are often like entirely in their voice and can be kind of playful in this way. They choose the references that they use. So there's playfulness, there's pain. The speaker of the poem makes some really great points about the contempt that they and their friends have experienced from some older generations about them being LGBTQ. They say how reporters and fathers call them the worst, call this generation the worst, when really they're just kind of, I guess, more empowered to believe in their rights to be accepted, and to be, as Chen Chen writes, splendiferously you, which is very hard to say, but a great word. So the poem kind of feels like a rebellion against these reporters and fathers. It feels like a challenge to that narrative. And it feels like in the poem, they are having their say and redefining what is said about them. And there is a continual sense of empowerment in the poem. The status that the speaker gives the you in the poem about how their powers are growing. One day they will turn to their father and tell them they were wrong for trying to change them. And I think there's quite an interesting potential in this poem that the you that the speaker of the poem is addressing could actually also be themselves. So it's almost like they're using you to talk about themselves. I don't know that. But it feels like, because it's quite sort of intimate, this knowledge of this person, perhaps the you actually means I, and they're using that as an interesting device. So when you're writing your own, when I give you your prompts in a minute, you might want to think about whether the you that you're addressing in your poem is actually going to be yourself, or whether it's going to be someone else. And finally, I guess I just love the detail in this poem. I love the fanny pack, the lint roller, the different flavors of ice cream in Singapore. I think it paints such a vivid picture of this person. Like I always say, detail is the thing that kind of brings our work alive and brings our poems alive. So I want us to write our own one, not exactly the same as Chen Chen's, obviously, because we want to bringing our own stuff to the poem. But I want us to write a celebration of someone using great details. And again, I'll say that person can be you. If you want it to be, you can be writing about yourself, but using the you are as a device. Or you can, if you don't want to write about yourself, because sometimes we're just not in the mood to, you can keep someone in mind, a friend or a loved one or someone that you admire, and you can dedicate the poem to them. The you are can be them rather than you. So I'm going to talk you through some prompts that might help you get a few lines of this poem of dedication, either to the self or to someone else, okay? So the first line I want you to write is, you are an expert at. You are an expert at. I'm going to talk you through these quite quickly because I don't want you to think too much. I just want you to almost treat it as a free write. When we start thinking, we start trying to apply kind of meaning and wrap things up and make things neat. And actually, your first draft, I want it to be a bit messy. That's where we get all our great ideas from if we just go for it. So I'm going to talk you through these prompts quite quickly, okay? So you are the expert of. Prompt number 2, praise be to your. Praise be to your. So what's that? Praise be to your wonky glasses. Praise be to your green faded cap. Praise be to your peanut butter cookies. So we're kind of honouring something in this line. You are not. You are not. And that can be literal, like a personality trait, like you are not loud, or you are not good at lying, or something like that. Or it could be more sort of symbolic, like there's a Billy Collins poem that I really love called Litany, and it says like, you are not the rain, you are not the glass of water, you are not the bridge, but you are the bread and the knife. I mean, I'm paraphrasing there, but it kind of goes something like that. So you could be more symbolic. You could be like, you are not the wind, or you are not the train rushing by, or it could be literally someone's personality, like, you are not the best chef. So the next thing that I want us to do, but you definitely are. Again, the same rules apply with that one. You are not is the first line, but you definitely are is this one. Next line, people call you. People call you. That could be a nickname, or again, that could be like an assessment that someone else has made of that person. People call you. Next line, which means, so sort of continuing on, which means. You can pause the video if I'm going too quickly, but your next prompt is, you know how to. You know how to. Next one, you can. You can. And this is your second to last one. One day you will. One day you will. And the final one, and you will say, and you will say. Okay, so those are your prompts. They should hopefully give you the building blocks to create a poem, either about somebody else, dedicated to them and celebrating them, or talking about yourself, but using that slightly distancing device of saying, you are this, you are that, which can often be quite a useful way to talk about ourselves in poems. So you can play with the order once it's finished. You can delete some lines or you can add some more. The only real rule is that you use the you are format. So dedicate your poem to Chen Chen, as we have used their poem as a springboard and as inspiration. So give it a title and then you can write after Chen Chen at the bottom. And you have your poem. So all that's left to say is thank you so much for taking part in Right Through This, the campaign. Whether you've just watched one video or whether you've been with me all the way through, it's been a pleasure to hopefully provide a bit of creative time for you during this lockdown. I hope you continue to write. Remember, it's a space for you to occupy whenever you need, and you can write whatever you want on your own terms in your own voice. And I hope that poem by Chen Chen is kind of an example of someone who writes in their own voice in a playful way, in an authentic way. A reminder to share your poems. I would love to read them. I haven't managed to meet any of you because everything has to be online. So I would love to read your poems. You can send them in via email to hello@spreadtheword.org.uk. You can tweet your poems tagging STW events and using the hashtag Write Through This, or you can Instagram your poem and tag Spread the Word Writers and use the hashtag Write Through This. That's it for the campaign. I wish you all the luck in your writing lives. Take care of yourselves.